genius with a heart of stone. Yeah, C4, Mr. Carter's home. Sitting on the world, I got life in my hand. So these days I try to think twice when I can.
The year is 2011. Nate Dogg sadly passed away at the age of 41. Lil B released the album I'm Gay, which led to a lot of controversy and backlash in the rap community. Eminem starred in the classic imported from Detroit Chrysler Super Bowl ad, which stole the show. Lupe Fiasco stirred controversy of his own by calling the, at the time, President of the United States, Barack Obama, the biggest terrorist in the United States. 2 months after this, Lil Wayne released his highly anticipated 9th album, The Carter 4. Before getting into the album though, if you haven't already done it yet, go follow my Instagram. That would be greatly appreciated. You guys can always reach out and show me some love. It's all good. Make sure to comment on what it was like for you in 2011 when this album came out and what your reaction was when you first heard it. How has it impacted you also? Looking back at 2011, this is where I can clearly see a shift in rap in regards to the emergence of new stars. This is the year that a lot of people who went on to become big stars dropped their debut album, sophomore album, or an album that blew them up. Artists like Mac Miller, Childish Gambino, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and A$AP Rocky dropped their debut albums. Drake dropped his sophomore album, Take Care, which went #1 just like his debut album a year prior. Wiz Khalifa dropped Rolling Papers, which went #2 and was his most successful album to that point. Some of the old guard was still holding strong this year, with Kanye West and Jay-Z collabing for their epic collab album, Watch the Throne. In the middle of all of this, Lil Wayne stood tall as the biggest rapper in the game, being the bridge between these two generations. But how did Wayne get here? Lil Wayne released his monstrous 6th album, The Carter 3, in June of 2008, an album that solidified him at the top spot of the game, with that album topping the Billboard 200 chart for 3 weeks and sold over 1 million copies in its first week. Wayne was on top of the world, and fans wondered how could he top the hype. If you want to know more about this album, I have an old video breaking it down. I might remaster it one day, but for now, you can go watch it. After The Carter 3, Wayne initially wanted to release another project titled The Carter 3, The Rebirth, The Birth of a New Beginning. He talked about this in an interview with MTV just 4 months after the release of The Carter 3. I don't know if we're gonna release The Carter 4 now. I think we're gonna release The Carter 3, a new Carter 3 with none of the same songs though. None of them. Not one. We don't want to call the next album we got coming The Carter 4. That was the dilemma we were in. We want Carter 4 to be what everybody wants it to be. This is something brand new, so we don't want it to be some experimental thing because some people are not gonna like this. I don't want them to not like The Carter 4. Ultimately, this project was never released, but it's confirmed that Wayne started working on The Carter 4 not that long after the release of The Carter 3. He talked about the album in interviews, and when asked about the album, he referred to it as being quote-unquote nice. But he also told fans to be on the lookout for his next mixtape, Dedication 3. This mixtape was released in November of 2008. News went quiet about The Carter 4 for a while until almost a year later in October of 2009. This is when Birdman, co-CEO of Cash Money Records, who Lil Wayne is signed to, did an interview where he informed fans that there were plans for Wayne to drop 3 albums: Rebirth, The Carter 4, and the Young Money album. The catch was that these were all supposed to drop on the same freaking day. The date that this was slated to happen on was December 15th of 2009. Rebirth was Wayne's rock album, and Birdman initially said that it would be a double disc. It was reported that one side was Rebirth and the other side would be the Young Money album. Later on, Wayne denied Birdman's claims and said that the Carter 4 deserved its own treatment instead of being bunched in with these other projects. He denied the possibility of Rebirth and the Young Money album dropping on the same day. Then reports came out about the double disc idea being scrapped in favor of releasing the projects separately, but it was still intended to drop on the same day as each other. The date was pushed back to December 21st instead of the original date of December 15th. However, this idea of dropping two projects on the same day never came to fruition. To hold fans over, Wayne released the legendary mixtape No Ceilings in late October. The only album that dropped in December that Birdman mentioned was the We Are Young Money album, which peaked at number 9 on the Billboard 200 and sold 142,000 copies in its first week. Rebirth ultimately got delayed, but the singles On Fire and Da 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 released that month. It's kind of crazy that this was done because the first single for Rebirth, Prom Queen, dropped 11 months earlier in January of 2009. Quite a long time between singles. But the reason given why Rebirth was delayed at the time was that Wayne wanted the album to be perfect. Finally, in February of 2010, the album was released and peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200, selling 176,000 copies in its first week. The very next month, in March, Wayne was sentenced to 1 year in prison. This stemmed from an attempted criminal possession charge from a 2007 incident which Wayne pled guilty to. Police found a pistol on his tour bus while he was in New York City for a concert. He was sentenced to a year and served his time in Rikers Island, a sentence Wayne ultimately served 8 months of. Lil Wayne has talked about his time being locked up in songs, numerous interviews, and even has a book discussing his incarceration. While locked up, Wayne wrote down his lyrics, recorded verses over the jail phone, and got visits from several celebrities. He even released an album behind bars, which was I Am Not a Human Being. This was released in September of 2010. It peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 with over 100,000 copies sold in its first week. This was digital sales alone, I believe, until it was physically released later. The album was initially reported to be an EP before it was reported to be a full-length album. A lot of the tracks on I Am Not a Human Being were initially set to be included on the Carter 4. The decision was made to release the songs on I Am Not a Human Being though, and for Wayne to record new music once he was released from jail. Cortez Bryant, Lil Wayne's manager at the time, said that once Wayne got out of jail, he knew that these songs on I Am Not a Human Being were going to be old to him. So this is why they decided to go ahead and release it. Right before Lil Wayne was set to be released from jail, Birdman did an interview discussing Lil Wayne's post-jail plans. He said that the two were going to make a sequel to their 2006 collab album Like Father Like Son, and were going to finish up the Carter 4. Father's Day of 2011 was the date given for the Like Father Like Son sequel, but no exact date was given for the Carter 4. The only info given out about the Carter 4 at this time was that it would release in the first quarter of 2011. Lil Wayne was released from jail in November of 2010. After being released, Lil Wayne celebrated a bit and then immediately got to work on the Carter 4. The very next month in December, Wayne released the first single for the Carter 4 with 6 Foot 7 Foot featuring Corey Guns. The song peaked at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100.
I lost my mind, it's somewhere out there stranded. I think you staying under me if you don't understand me.
Before its release, the record was described to be like a Milli on steroids. It was also supposed to show the world where Wayne was lyrically at. The record lived up to both of these expectations with the song being 7 times platinum as of 2022. The next single would not be released until March of 2011. This single was John featuring Rick Ross. The song peaked at number 22 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song is double platinum as of 2014.
Yeah, load up the choppers like this December 31st. Roll up and cock it and hit them niggas where it hurts.
At the time John released, the Carter 4 was set to drop in May of 2011. A month prior, in April, it was reported that the album would be pushed back to June. Fans suspected this was due to an alleged tracklist of the album being leaked. The cover art for the album also leaked this month. It was said by people within Wayne's camp that the delay was decided on before the tracklist leaked. Mac Main, the at the time president of Lil Wayne's record label Young Money, stated that the delay was due to wanting to perfect the album and waiting on features. A producer who worked on the album said that none of the track names on the leaked track list looked familiar. I put the alleged track list on the screen, and as you can see, there are some big differences between this and what went on to be the final version. At first glance, the recognizable songs are 6'7", which is 6', 7 foot, John, and Maybe She Will. Both 6', 7 and John were already out there due to being singles, but the same was not for Maybe She Will. That track was not released as a single until months later in August, the same month that the Carter 4 came out. Besides that though, I believe that this is confirmed to be fake. Besides the 3 songs that I named from the fake track list though, there is one more song of mention. That's the song "And," produced by Swizz Beatz. This is actually a real track that is Lil Wayne's version of Eminem's song "Stand." The song "Stand" by Eminem is about a crazy man who's a fan of his. Lil Wayne's version is inspired by this but differs since it's about a woman named Ann. The song is also known as "Stand Part 2.
Dear Ann, my #1 fan. I write with the light from the lamp on my nightstand.
This song was originally intended to be released on the Carter 3 but did not make the cut. Swizz Beatz initially offered the beat to Eminem, which he passed on the concept of doing a Stand Part 2. This is when Swizz decided to give the beat to Lil Wayne. 3 years after the Carter 3 released, the song was leaked online. It garnered a lot of buzz. Lil Wayne thought about putting the song on the Carter 4 despite it leaking, but felt that the song was old. By this, he meant that specifically his verses were old. Being a perfectionist, he hated this. He liked the beat and concept, but hated his execution. People within Wayne's camp tried to change his mind about the song in order for him to finally release it. When Swizz Beatz was questioned about Wayne feeling like the song was old, he responded that the problem was fixed and to be on the lookout. It seemed that Wayne recorded a newer version of the song, but this version, or the leaked version, never officially released. But as I mentioned earlier, the delay for the Carter 4 was planned before the whole fake tracklist fiasco. Back in April of 2011, it was reported that the album would come out in June. June came and the album did not release this month, but Mac Main delivered fans the news of Wayne dropping another mixtape. This was appropriately titled "Sorry for the Wait" and ended up releasing the next month in July. News also broke that same month that the Carter 4 was finally going to release in August. Right before the album was released, Wayne released his 3rd single for it titled "She Will" featuring Drake. The song peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. As of 2022, the song is quadruple platinum.
Maybe for the money and the power and the fame right now, she will.
Just like the Carter 3, the Carter 4 had its issues with leaks. In fact, the entire album was leaked before its original date. It leaked online on August 24th of 2011, which was 5 days before the planned release date of August 29th. Despite the album leaking, Lil Wayne told news outlets that he was not upset. He was actually pleased that fans were eager to hear the album. Finally, on August 29th of 2011, the Carter 4 finally released. The album topped the Billboard 200 charts, selling over 1 million copies in its first week. This was Wayne's second and last time selling 1 million copies in a week. The album was finally here after all of the hype, leaks, and delays. Now it was time to see if Wayne still had it. Upon release, the Carter 4 received mixed reviews aside from its commercial success. Outlets like Pitchfork, Hip Hop DX, and DJ Booth gave it a score in the 60s out of 100. As a kid, I loved this album. It was not until I started YouTube years later when I found out that some people did not like the Carter 4. Some people in the comments of my video about the Carter 3 took issue with me calling that album a classic, which is ridiculous. It's foolish to deny the impact and influence the Carter 3 had at the time and still has today. I was only 7 when that album dropped, but I vividly remember it being everywhere. A true moment in time. It's one thing to understand the history behind the album and know that it could have been better musically, but despite that, it remains a classic, so I don't even know why it's disputed. I've done other videos on Lil Wayne and people were talking down on the Carter 4, which shocked me. Like I said, I grew up loving this album. 2011, I was in like 5th or 6th grade, but the hype was real for this album too, especially with Wayne spending months in jail during the prime of his career. For a time, he was everywhere on every song all over the internet, radio, albums, mixtapes, whatever. He was the most commercially successful rapper, and many would say the best rapper during that era. I also think that the Carter 4 leaves behind a legacy of being Lil Wayne's last hurrah at the top of the game before the throne was taken by we all know who, which is his protege, Drake. Watch some people in the comments even try to dispute that and not be objective about the domination that Drake has had since. Sure, the Carter 5 did very well for Wayne commercially years later, but Wayne had a significant drop off after the Carter 4 from selling 1 million copies in a week to selling over 200,000 copies with his next album, I Am Not a Human Being 2, in 2013. That's a 800,000 copy decrease. But I'm also aware of there being different eras of Wayne fans, from his Hot Boy days, 500 Degree days, Squad Up days, the Carter 1 and 2, and so on. 500 Degrees Wayne fans might not like the Carter 4 Wayne, which is understandable. I was literally 1 year old when Wayne dropped 500 Degrees in 2002. Just like how the Carter 1 and 2 means a lot to them and that generation, I think the Carter 3 and 4 mean the same thing to a different one.
I stepped on the flower, foot on the pedal. Good wasn't home, so I settled for better.
The album starts off with the intro, and as it does, it sets up the album. As the intro starts, the iconic lighter flick by Wayne can be heard. The instrumental of this track, produced by Willie Will, is significant to the album. The reason being is that the instrumental is rapped over 2 more times via the album's interlude and outro. The intro is the only time that Wayne raps over the instrumental. The intro then fades into the track Blowin.
Still got the vision like a line between 2 dots. Young money's eating, the label getting fatter.
This is one of my favorite songs from this album, and it's produced by Develop and Filthy. The two are cousins and make up the production duo Doughboys. Prior to Blowin, they produced Lil Wayne's 2005 hit Fireman. Develop talked about this track, stating that this beat was one of the ones he made for Wayne that he really wanted him to rap on. This is one of the raps that Lil Wayne wrote while he was on Rikers Island, which makes it unique because Wayne is notorious for not writing his raps down prior to recording. Blowin then fades into Mega Man.
Tranquilizer in the trunk, put your ass to sleep, man. Birdman Jr. got the world in my wingspan.
This is a reference to two things: the Capcom video game character Mega Man, as well as the producer of the track, who also happens to be named Mega Man. In a 2011 interview with XXL, Mega Man explained how the track came about. He told XXL that their connection was through a mutual friend. That mutual friend happened to be through DJ Folk, who at the time was Young Jeezy's DJ. Before the making of the song, the producer Mega Man made a track intended for the Carter 4 that Wayne wanted the late Amy Winehouse to feature on. At the time of the interview, Mega Man was uncertain on why this track ended up not making the album or what even happened with the track. The Carter 4 released in August of 2011, but sadly a month prior, Amy Winehouse passed away. After initially being told that the recording for the Carter 4 was done, Mega Man got a message that Wayne was looking for a hard beat to rap on. The rest is pretty much history. He thought that people were joking when Wayne was going to name the track after him, and he did not find out until last minute that it was for real. 6 Foot 7 Foot is the third song on the album, as well as being the first single to come from it. The track features Cory Gunz, who at the time was signed to Lil Wayne's label, Young Money. Before being signed to the label, Cory Gunz featured on a version of Lil Wayne's 2008 song A Milli. In an interview with DJ Vlad, Cory's father, Peter Gunz, revealed that he leaked the version of A Milli with his son on it because he knew his son was not going to appear on the official version that eventually came out on the Carter 3. After doing this, Peter feared that Wayne and his team would have held this against Cory, but they did not, and he went on to be signed to the label. The leaked version of A Milli with Cory on it garnered him a lot of attention, but not as much as he would have gotten if he somehow ended up on the official version. Though that did not work out, Cory got his shine 2 years later by being featured on 6 Foot 7 Foot. This song is 7 times platinum, and he managed to impress a lot of people with his outstanding verse.
Don't wanna see what that drama mean. Get some drama mean, or I'ma scream hotter than summer sun on a Ghana queen.
Speaking of A Milli though, that song is produced by Bangladesh, who also produced 6 Foot 7 Foot. After A Milli was released, there were some legal issues with Bangladesh claiming that he was owed over $500,000 in unpaid royalties from A Milli. This was settled out of court. Bangladesh and Lil Wayne ended up making up, which led to the track 6 Foot 7 Foot. In a discussion about the song, Bangladesh revealed that he initially sent the beat to T.I. before it got into the hands of Lil Wayne. He didn't necessarily think that T.I. would sound good on the beat, but he knew that T.I. was looking for a single. I'm gonna be honest, I cannot imagine T.I. on this beat at all. I just cannot imagine it. The title of the song 6 Foot 7 Foot derives from the sample of the 1956 Harry Belafonte song Day-O Banana Boat Song.
6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot bunch.
After 6 Foot 7 Foot comes the song Nightmares on the Bottom. Lyrics from the song were previewed during one of Wayne's performances at the beginning of his 2011 I Am Still Music tour. The tour started in March of that year and concluded in September, which was a month after the Carter 4 released. The first feature on the album is on the next track, She Will. That feature happens to be Drake. The song is produced by T- and is the 4th single from the album. In an interview with XXL, he discussed the making of the track. T- revealed that the track came about while he was working on Drake's album, Take Care. This album ended up coming out in November of 2011, which was 3 months after the Carter 4. While making that album, Wayne happened to hear what went on to become She Will, which was originally titled Maybe She Will. After hearing this, Wayne said that he needed the song for his own album instead, and it was done. In January of 2011, 7 months prior to the release of the Carter 4, T- did an interview with Complex. In this interview, he mentioned Rick Ross having a verse on the song. When the song officially released, it was just Drake and Lil Wayne. Not that long after She Will was released as a single, Rick Ross's verse was leaked online.
That's on everything like feet that's on my flow mats. Red bottom spikes on them, that's those stacks.
Though Ross did not make the cut for the song, he does have a feature on the Carter 4, which I'll discuss later. How to Hate is the next track up, and it features T-Pain. Lil Wayne and T-Pain are such a dynamic duo. Got Money from the Carter 3 and Can't Believe It from T-Pain's album 3 Rings are 2 times that they worked with each other prior to the making of the song. They also worked on an entire project in 2009 called T-Wayne that did not get an official release until 2017. With their chemistry, it's no surprise that they went on to create another banger together that became How to Hate. After this track comes the interlude of the album. Tech 9 and Andre 3000 feature on the interlude. As I said earlier, Wayne used the same beat for this song 3 different times on this album. This is an idea that he originally had for the Carter 3. He wanted different rappers to rap over the beat for a milli on interludes throughout the Carter 3. Corey Gunz, Lil Mama, Tyga, and Hurricane Chris were the rappers chosen, but this idea was scrapped. On the Carter 4, Lil Wayne had Andre 3000, Tech 9, Bun B, Shine, Nas, and Busta Rhymes do this concept instead. While Lil Wayne was locked up, he did an interview with Funk Flex. In this interview, he revealed 2 artists that he really wanted to work with once he got out. The 2 artists were Andre 3000, who's regarded as one of the best rappers of all time, and Tech 9, who's widely considered to be one of the greatest underground rappers of all time. Tech 9 was blown away that an artist of Wayne's magnitude appreciated his work, especially with him being an underground artist and Wayne being a mainstream icon. Both of their respective camps got in touch with each other, which resulted in Tech 9 visiting Wayne while he was in Rikers Island. The two spent 3 hours together talking about topics such as life, spirituality, and Darwinism. Wayne told Tech 9 that as soon as he got out, it was on, and that is exactly what happened. When Lil Wayne was released, Tech 9 finally met with him in Miami, and he dropped a verse for him. At the time, Tech 9 did not know that Andre 3000 was going to be on the track with him. Tech 9 has also told the story of Andre 3000's reaction to his verse. He said that Wayne told him that he played the verse for Andre. After hearing the verse, Andre 3000 asked Lil Wayne who was rapping. Wayne informed Andre that it was Tech 9. Andre 3000 just simply replied, "Damn." Definitely a huge compliment coming from a legend like Andre 3 Stacks.
Different levels of murder, Lil Weezy cooking and I'm a server further. That's what I'ma get doing is remember we're eating Gerber. Mama said to kill them all and I heard her.
The interlude then fades into the song John, which was the second single for the album. The name John is in reference to John Lennon, the legendary musician who was a member of the Beatles, one of the biggest groups of all time. He passed away in 1980 after being gunned down by a crazed fan. It's been said by fans that the name of the song was originally titled John Lennon, but his estate did not allow that, so it was just simply shortened to John. What we do know is that when the song was released, it was originally titled If I Die Today. There's cover art online that supports this from credible sources like Pitchfork. Not that long after the song was uploaded to streaming services, it was then changed to just John. Rick Ross features on the song, and the hook of John comes from his song I'm Not a Star. This song appeared on his 2010 album Teflon Don.
Like it's December 31st. Roll up it's the in-way it hurts.
Load up the choppers like it's December 31st. Roll up and cock it and hit them niggas where it hurts.
Abortion is the next track up on the album, and I honestly could not find much about it. The same thing goes for the song So Special, which features John Legend. Could not find much about it, but I think that the song is really decent. Things switch up with the following track, which is How to Love. This was the third single for the album. It's the polar opposite from the song How to Hate, which appeared 5 tracks earlier on the track list. How to Love has production credits from producer Detail and the drummers.
Try to steal your heart, never really had luck, couldn't never figure out how to love.
In an interview with XXL, Detail spoke about how the song came together. During the recording process of Carter 4, Wayne was getting a bunch of music sent to him. He wasn't satisfied because he wanted to do something different. He wanted something that he could sing on. Detail worked on several different tracks that did not make the cut for the album that involved Wayne singing primarily. In that same XXL interview, Detail mentioned the song You the Ish. This song leaked in 2011. He produced it and said that this was made during the recording process, but they felt that How to Love was better. Definitely right about that in my opinion.
I know you hustle, baby, I ain't gotta tell you, you can give it everything, but they take it if you let them.
The song President Carter follows up How to Love. The title references 2 things. One is Jimmy Carter, who served as the 39th president of the United States. He's currently the oldest living former president. The song samples his oath of office in 1977. For 2, the title references Lil Wayne's government name, Dwayne Carter. In the song, he's President Carter. It's Good was the 5th single to be released from the album, and it's the second to last track on the standard album. It features Jadakiss and Drake. This song is notable because Wayne's verse from it received a lot of buzz. In his verse, Wayne goes at Jay-Z. This was in response to what Jay-Z said about Birdman on the song Ham, which was a single for Kanye and Jay-Z's collab album Watch the Throne. The Ham single was released in January of 2011. In the song Ham, Jay-Z raps about his wealth and seemingly disses Birdman for having quote-unquote baby money. For those who don't know, one of the many aliases of Birdman is Baby. Jay further says that this someone doesn't even have his baby's money, which is in reference to his wife Beyonce, who's worth well over $500,000 herself. But this shot is said to be stemmed from an interview in 2009 that Birdman did, where he talks about MTV naming Jay-Z to be the hottest MC. I don't think Jay-Z is the #1 MC in no kind of way. I don't think no dude in the game make more money than us. How can you be the best if you don't make the most money? And you don't do the most. Lyrically, come on, man. Be for real. Can't nobody F with Wayne. If you #1 and you ain't getting no money, it don't mean nothing, playboy. So this is why people think that Jay-Z said what he said. In response to that, Lil Wayne replied with his verse on It's Good.
Talking about baby money, I got your baby money. Kidnap your, get that how much you love your lady money.
After this, Wayne did an interview where he was questioned about the diss. I know there won't be any repercussions behind what I did. I know for a fact music is about perception. You can't do anything but perceive what you hear. I know that for a fact, so I can't ever be upset about someone's reaction. I'm not going to say I don't know what would happen before I even say something on record. I do know what will happen, I'm aware of it. But it is what it is. Jay-Z and Lil Wayne have a competitive but interesting relationship. There's many different videos documenting this. After this track comes the outro, which features Shine, Bun B, Nas, and Busta Rhymes. Shine has an interesting verse to say the least. I know that people clown his verse, but I honestly don't know how to feel about it. I'm the last person to be talking about people's voices. I mean, people talk about my voice and my tone all the time in the comments. But Shine sounded like he needed a freaking cough drop, okay? Halls, something, whatever. But Bun B, Nas, and Busta all did their thing. Especially Nas, because he came in and obliterated the track. The ending of this concludes the standard album. On the deluxe version of the album, there are 3 more tracks. I Like the View, Mirror, and 2 Shots. I Like the View starts it off. For this song, I could not really find much out about it, but I could for the following song, which is Mirror. This features Bruno Mars. It was the 6th and last single to be released from the album. The song peaked at number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100. As of 2022, the song is quadruple platinum.
Looking at the mirror on the wall, here we are again.
The song has production credits from the Schmeezingtons. I don't know if I said that right, but it's a group that Bruno Mars is in, and the producer REO. During an interview, REO, or Rio, I don't really know which one it is, but he said that he had that beat 2 to 3 years before the song came out. When he played that beat for people, they loved it. One of the people who loved it was Mike Caren, who was an A&R at Atlantic Records at the time. Mike played it for Bruno Mars, who also loved it, and he wrote a hook to it. Bruno Mars then shopped the song around to artists like Kanye, Nas, Young Jeezy, and Drake. REO originally wanted the song to be included on Kanye's album My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy that was released in November of 2010. But as we know, this never came to fruition. Then Nas had the song for a while, but it eventually ended up in the hands of Lil Wayne. With the help of Bruno Mars, they turned the song into a classic. Two Shots is the last song on the Deluxe. Couldn't find much about this track aside from Diplo and DJ A doing production on the track. There's a video on YouTube where they filmed the making of the beat. After this, there are 3 additional bonus tracks. If you bought the album at Target or bought the album in Japan, then you got the tracks Novocaine, which features Kevin Rudolph, and I Got Some Money on Me, which features Birdman. But just like that, the Carter 4 finally concludes. All in all, let me know in the comment section below what you think of the album and what classic album I should cover next. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.